Hey guys, Chris here. I am in the RBM outdoor tent tonight doing the little intro for our viewer comments. And this is we won't be doing viewer comments very often, but occasionally I like to have you guys have your small stories in the comments and then read them. It's really important, I think, to hear from you like a larger amount of our audience instead of just an occasional story that I tell. So that's why we're doing that. So I did so many viewer comments. I was having so much fun commenting on the comments that I had extra comments. So we're gonna do one more video, and then the next video, I'm gonna be kayaking to an island, spending the night. We got a good story for you, and then we're gonna do a hike up a mountain, as well as fishing from this island, cooking, camping, and making coffee, and having a beer. You guys have spoken, and I heard you loud and clear. You guys want me to have beer, so we're gonna have a beer in that episode, as well as this one. This is called Michelob Ultra. So you can, there I am. I'm trying to figure this out. Michelob Ultra, and it says 2.6 carbs and 95 calories right there. I don't know how many carbs equals a pound. I don't know anything. So I'm asking you guys, let me get back in the frame here. Hold on. I'm asking you guys to help me get healthy beers, because that's what I asked for. And I said, you know, it's not working for me getting the, yeah, I'm already, look at that, huh? Oh, God. I really punched myself, but I've already lost a little weight and got my stomach looking a little nicer, and I'm really happy with that. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to be my fourth night this week after this video. I'm going to go. They're open 24/7, my gym. That means 24 hours a week, 7 months out of the year. That's a joke. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Cheers. So Michelob Ultra Superior Light Beer. It says 4.26 alcohol by volume. That's pretty light. I've had some beers 8, 9, and even higher on the ABV, which if you're drinking that in the evening, it's just like within a half hour, you're like, I think I need to lie on the couch, and it's just one beer. It's like, forget it. So I'm really watching my intake, and I'm gonna deal with the extra beers, because I buy a 6-pack, and like I said, I got 5 of them looking back at me, and I'm gonna, I don't know, I got a place where I can buy 1 beer at a time, which is kind of cool. So all right, let's get on with this. We're gonna go right out of the bottle. Michelob Ultra. That is so smooth. No really bitter aftertaste. There's a slight minor bitter finish to it, and it's very champagne-like, very smooth, very light, and it's just a nice, pleasant beer to just have when I'm out in the garage, putzing in the garage, or at the campground, camping. I don't really do much campgrounds with the dogs and the barking kids, or the barking dogs and the kids and people's stereos and stuff. I've had stories. So yeah, anyways, Michelob Ultra, that's really good. Let me do one more. Yeah, it's really smooth. It says it's a superior light beer, but it's kind of a middle of the road kind of beer. Very affordable. I think this was $8.99 6-pack of this. Also, I got another one. I'm not going to crack this, but it's called Brewmaster's Premier. I don't know if you can see that. And that is another similar type of beer. And that is 90, what does it say? 95 calories, 3.4 carbs. So there you go. And that, oh boy, that's a 16 ounce. That's a 16 ounce beer right there, kids. There you go. So yeah, we'll do that another time. But so there it is. Beer is back, and look for that. If you guys are cool with it, we'll do it at the beginning of the video, like we've been doing literally for years. I do need to address a couple of things. A few of you have been making comments about me personally, And I don't like that. I'm telling you, there's about 3% of you. My hair is off limits. With your opinions about, people have said, oh, your hair, you shouldn't dye your hair, color your hair. It's not authentic. You need to do it like this. Your hair looks awful. Why would you do that to your hair? You know what? Lay off my hair, lay off me, and I won't have to get mean about it, because I'm not Mr. Rogers out here. I ain't no Mr. Rogers. I can be very direct, very straightforward, and I can call it like it is. So I'm talking to the 3%, trying to be nice here. But please lay off me and my hair and my clothing or anything else if you don't like. And surprisingly, a number of these comments were from women. And women know that when they do their hair or whatever color clothing or how they do their nails, it's none of my business or any other person's business to tell them that's a wrong color, that's a wrong dress, you shouldn't do that. Don't do your hair like that, because it means whatever. Just, you don't do that. So don't do it to me, and that's all I got to say about that. So also, people are saying, were you on drugs and stuff? It's like, dude, bro, no, I'm like really exuberant. I'm really having fun. I'm very sober and very straight. And again, I don't appreciate the judgment. It's very arrogant and it's very rude when you talk to me like that or anyone else. So I'm asking you real nice, please don't do that. We can move forward. So viewer comments, this is what we got tonight. No more updates. We're just gonna get into this stuff going forward and the other videos coming up. And excuse me, that's the beer talking. That is really good. Really, again, there's a lot of really good viewer comments. There's many little stories. They're almost like a little fortune cookie. You're like, whoa, they went camping, and you could just see the scenario of these stories that these people have, or comments about other people that they know have had experiences with Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and other things that they've experienced. So we're going to be doing a lot more Bigfoot stories, as well as we're going to try a few other things. But really, this channel is about you guys, what you want to see. And if you guys want me to have a beer, that's great. I didn't think you guys really cared. So again, this channel is not just about me telling you what I'm going to do, but I really want to just have fun. And I like outdoors camping, getting out there, and anything that's involved with that. And the campfire story is the cornerstone of this whole channel. So with that said, pal, it's my Jack. That's the best I can do with Jack there. I don't make movies, all right? I make classics. All right, pal, you got it. That's the best I got for Jack. So, all right, kids, we're going to do these viewer comments, and then I'll come back at the end. And then, again, we're going to be rocking and rolling in the great outdoors when this video is over. The following Sundays, I got a lot of adventures, trips planned into the mountains, into the deserts, into other states, and even into other countries. So, and it's going to be everything we're doing except more. That's all I can say. Nothing's going to change. And it's just going to be more of the same, except a little more amped up. Or more. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, we got a few shorter ones here. Robin Chum, another gripping story. Thank you, Chris. That is true. These are gripping stories. And what I like about them, and what I like about my channel, and I've thought about this, because true crime is really big on YouTube. It's a big genre, right? And I go, maybe I should do true crime because I should get the views and blah, blah, blah. And I go, it's not me. I don't relish in other people's pain and suffering and their misfortune. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't judge those that tell the stories, because they know how to tell them, and they're involved deep enough when they tell these true crime stories about these people, the husband that murders the wife and wraps her up in the shower curtain and then puts her in the trunk, and He goes back with bleach and cleans the shower and all, that stuff. And then they got the court case and their fingerprints, and he lied and he said this, and then he did this and he contradicted. And then the court came back and they found this and the interrogation. And my head is just literally spinning when I watch these shows. Like, I couldn't do this. It's way too much information. You got to like research it for days. And I don't just feel comfortable about all the death and the stuff. And people love it. And people that tell it, they do a great job. No, they do not do anything wrong. But for me, I don't like to do that. So I've decided I'm going to stick to Bigfoot. But we'd like to add more mysteries, other cryptids, ghosts, UFOs, other unexplained phenomena. But you guys seem to like cryptid. I love the Bigfoot stories, #1. I occasionally do a ghost story. And UFOs, I don't have as much interest in that. But I did love the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I just love that movie. I love the scene where the single mom is in the farmhouse and the little boy is up in his room. He's sleeping, and all the toys in his room, the electronic battery-operated toys, the monkeys start clapping and the lights come on, and then the little truck is driving and there's a bear or something, I don't know, some animal. This stuff's all moving around, and Spielberg's such an amazing job. And then there's lights in the window, and then it gets dark, and then they see the screws on the front doorknob slowly by themselves on thread, and they're drop, 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 and then the door handle falls off, and then this light shines through the door handle, and all this sound and all this light are out on the front deck, and the little boy's like, "Mommy, they're here!" And he opens the door, and the light comes in, and there's wind, and she runs and grabs him, and then she's pulling on his legs, and then this thing, all of a sudden this thing's pulling on the boy. It's so frightening. It's like, oh my God. And anyways, you guys remember that? Just crazy. I love Spielberg. I love that kind of stuff, and that almost reminds me more of Bigfoot. There's like, we're camping, and we had the lights, and then it got dark, and we heard sounds, and something came in, and I dropped the lantern, and that's why I like these kinds of stories. Great story. Whenever I feel like all I want to do is leave the grid and drive deep into a mountain forest to live, I remember your stories, and it doesn't take long for me to remember how frightening it can be for your viewers, and possibly for me. That was from Tammy. Yeah, you kind of go, yeah, it's a little spooky at night. I was camping last night, came up late, and I decided I'm just going to sleep in the back of the truck. I didn't feel like setting up the tent, and I got this nice pad and a nice sleeping bag. It's great. It's nice. I've been always wanting to sleep in the back of my Ford Maverick. I love the Ford Maverick. Oh, I got the door vinyl magnets for the Ford Maverick. So I'm driving around at the base camp mobile, and I pull up to the light, and people are like, "Who's base camp Chris?" And I look like the plumber with all the stuff, the signage on the vehicle, except it says base camp Chris YouTube, the Explore and Adventure and all that. So yeah, but yeah, whenever you think about coming to these places, there's kind of a reality at night. And I'm sleeping in the back of this truck, and I had to get up a couple times just to stretch. It was really uncomfortable. Finally fell asleep, and I'm laying there, and the stars were so thick. It was amazing. And so I took a couple shots with the camera, but the thought of something reaching in and touching me. I was right under some pine trees, and there was nobody around. And it was dead quiet, and I would wake up and have to stretch and walk around a little bit. And I thought, if I heard one, sound, I'd probably jump in the car and take off. I don't know. I had my lanterns, my headlight, and I'm in my truck. It's not like a big deal. It wasn't this nightmare or anything, but you think in the back of your mind, yeah, things can go sideways pretty quick, and obviously they do with our stories. So okay, Budding Kick 5206. Great story. And yeah, again, true. I think these are great stories, and again, because they're based on real people, real places, real times that these things happen. So I don't have the name on this one. I'm glad that you made it back safe, Chris. I'm glad that we have Sasquatch and not the Kandahar giants. These things eat people. At least Sasquatch tends to leave people alone. That is true. Most of the stories are tease, taunt, torment a little bit, territorial behavior, a lot of tease going on, no torture or mistreatment. So Bigfoot is pretty terrific, and yeah, he's a pretty terrific guy for the most part. But it is interesting how they exhibit this intimidation behavior, very territorial. They want to move you out, scare you, threaten you, but not actually rip you apart. So Alexander, excuse me, Alexander Weaver 7066. Glad you're better. Bigfoot reigns. Do not piss him off. Do not piss off Bigfoot. You understand, pal? Are we clear, pal? Yeah, it's true. It's true. People with guns, if they shoot, it doesn't really help the situation. If they scream and yell and throw things, it doesn't really help the situation. The best you should do, hold your ground, kind of be cool, talk in soft tones, be confident, talk to them. I've actually heard things and I've talked, they didn't talk back to me, but hi, how are you? This is Chris. You know, you just kind of just make stuff up and you know, I heard something, I did this one night. I don't know if it was a Bigfoot, but it's just like kind of got this in mind, like I'm not going to start screaming and running and you know, I do have my this saying, and I've showed you guys this a few times. This thing is always nice to have for bear, mountain lions for sure, bobcat. I'm going to preface, I'll do a light whistle, but yeah. Apologies for those that I hurt their ears. This is called the wind storm. This whistle can be heard up to almost a mile away. Great for search and rescue. If you're lost, you're waiting for them to come, this will help them find you sooner. Really a great thing to have. Again, another tip. I like these little camp tips. And I'm going to look for more stuff like that. I got a bunch of things that I'm learning, and I'm going to share that with you guys. But yeah, play it cool in Bigfoot country. You'll be just fine, and all like that. So here's one. I had a Bigfoot encounter in the Boundary Waters in Minnesota. It was frightening. Again, Minnesota, Boundary Waters, really thick forest up there. A lot of lakes, bogs, water, rivers, swamp. Then the giant Lake Superior, and the topography isn't flat. It's very rolling, hills, little gulches, rocky ravines and things like this in this northeastern Minnesota. Just beautiful country. I did a big canoe trip there for 8 days with my good friend Tim, and we went from lake to lake to lake, portaging in between, had a great time. We didn't see or hear anything, but did some fishing, had a great time, great memories. But northern Minnesota, Michigan is very similar, Wisconsin, these three states are really similar in their look and appearance in that upper northern part of each of those states. So yeah. Madeline 1865. Chris, I absolutely love your channel and your videos. You always cheer me up. I love your sense of humor, the information you share, your cooking, camping, and of course the beer of the day. My best friend and I watch your videos over and over. Well, thank you, Madeline. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. Yeah, there's a lot to like, and it's not just me. It's just I love cooking and camping and the trees and just randomly finding the waterfalls, and then these stories that are all interconnected with this environment, this wilderness that I'm in, Stanislaus National Forest. I was just hiking just a moment ago, a few minutes ago, and this is just vast wilderness. I could hike for 6 days probably that way and not see a single person for a week. And it's just mountain after mountain, valley after a valley, filled with pine trees, rivers, like just goes on and on. It's just amazing country out here, and throughout the rest of the country here, just great stuff. So yeah, it's fun stuff. So here's one. So glad you're back. Oh, hold on. So glad you're back, and on with the stories, Chris. Really cool story today. Yeah, I don't know which story it was, but thank you, Harry Thunson 9105. Thank you, Harry. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, really cool encounter, like Fonzie. Hey, it's a cool encounter. Yeah, most people in that moment, they're not thinking how cool this is, but for us, it is fun, and we're always glad no one gets hurt and stuff. Now there is missing 411, and he's alluded to Bigfoot possibly disappearing people, like for good, and I don't follow that as well, but I've watched it a few times, so check that out if you guys want to know more about that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Bigfoot, that Bigfoot 411, missing 411, and the tie-in to Bigfoot. And he's got some really interesting theories about Bigfoot and Sasquatch and how they operate and what they do to the people, and what happens, and some of these unique stories. And he's like a detective, a real detective that was his past, and this is what he does now. He writes books and things as well. And but he has this understanding about Sasquatch, and he makes some links about maybe a little girl that got lost, and then a couple years later, she shows up, and they ask her what happened, and obviously they're happy she's back, and she said, and I'm just kind of making this up based on some different things, but the large man helped me. Who was the large man? Oh, he was nice, but he was very warm. But how was he warm? Well, he carried me, and he was all fuzzy. And he put me in a tree, and I stayed up there for a while, and the tree was, she'd point up, way up there. And he's got this stuff, so I don't know much about it, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Missing 411, Bigfoot, there you go. Muirwoods 111. Chris, you're amazing at drawing word pictorials. Fabulous job as usual. Thank you. That's from the Muirwoods. That's really I've never really heard that word pictorials. I like that. That's pretty cool. Fabulous job. Well, I appreciate your compliment, and thank you for watching, Muirwoods. And yeah, I get kind of intense about it, because I'm like, yeah, it was this like rock alcove, and there was a waterfall, and these rocks were on the wall, and then the creature. I get into it because it's clearly in my head, and I'm trying to dump it out of my brain for you guys, and I get kind of amped up because I can see it so clearly, and I want to transfer that to you guys the best way I can. So happy to hear you and Jeanette had a fabulous European vacation. Sending healing prayers for you. I hope you're feeling better soon. Yeah, I got some kind of sickness at the end of our cruise. We went to Europe, did a cruise of Northern Europe, Baltic Sea, North Sea, and we went from France, United Kingdom, Denmark, Germany, Poland, Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, Finland, Sweden. It was literally a country buffet. Different countries that we saw every day for like 3 weeks, and we saw like 13 countries in 14, 15 days. I think that was the math on that. And it was it was like a buffet. We got a little sample of everything every day. I just loved it. It was exhausting because Jeanette and I we'd like, okay, we're in this new port town off the north coast, and we're gonna catch the hop on hop off bus, and we'll travel around the city, learning what the sights that we'd really like to see. And then we got off and we would go to this old church and an old castle, a museum, and then we would have to cobble and figure a way how to Uber, hike, or bus our way back to the boat before they took off. We always got back on time. I was a little stressed. It felt like the Great European Race or something. We're out there like, oh my God, we got 2 hours, but we don't have a ride. We don't know where we are. We don't know where we're going, and we got to talk. We're trying to find the bus, and we always figured it out. We got really good at it, so, to be honest. And but what I want to do is I want to go back to Sweden. I'm Swedish, and then I want to go back to Norway. And Norway is my favorite European nation. It's probably one of my favorite countries in the world. Outside the United States, Canada, Australia, Norway, all superpowers in nature. Canada's crazy. Sweden, and then Finland too. Finland's got like 80,000 lakes. And Minnesota is famous for lakes, and it's got like 10,000. So it's just crazy. Scandinavia is just crazy on the nature. They love their nature. Everyone on Sunday, this is what they say in Norway, goes out and enjoys nature for a hike. And even if it's cold, there are no bad clothing. There's no bad weather. There is only bad clothing. And so what that means is, yes, you can still get out. You invest in good gear, and then you can go out. And so like, it's too cold. It's like, but they just love nature over there, and I do too. So next spring am I going to be doing a trip there, probably for quite a while, 3, 4, 5 weeks. And I'll start it in Sweden, then I'm going to Norway, and I'm going to go to Norway, possibly Sweden. I have Swedish heritage, and maybe Finland, but really I'm going to focus on some time in Sweden. But predominantly I want to go to Norway, with the fjords and the plateaus and the mountains and all the water and rivers and waterfalls and the wildlife and the people. Amazing culture, amazing people. They really just love each other. They're very connected as a country. It's almost like a bunch of small towns in this one country. I think there's 5 million people it's a pretty good sized population in Norway, but they're very connected with their love of country, their love of nature, and their love of each other. And they take care of each other very well. And then they have, every year, they have their Constitution Day, and that is where the women, and they wear these very traditional, beautiful dresses with family jewelry or heirlooms on the dresses, and embroidered nicely into the dresses, and this kind of a white, puffy, long sleeve shirt, and then the hair's done up very beautifully, and then this kind of a denim dress with sometimes some designs on it. And the men have kind of a version of that themselves, these pants and these suspenders and kind of a shirt. But they just love to get together and have their Constitution Day, and they have other events that they do, but they love Norway, and I would just love to experience Norway. And I have a few fans that live there. One of them lives in Ålesund, which is near the Romsdal and the Geringer Fjord, one of the most famous fjords in the entire world. Goes for 80 miles or something, I don't know. And they take the cruise ships back there in this narrow gorge, giant waterfalls, and I'm going to be going to do that and tour that. I'm going to see my really good friend who I've been talking to. Her name is Heidi. Really wonderful young lady, and we're gonna do some hikes and a few adventures like that. So really looking forward to that. And I will be filming in Sweden, Norway, and possibly even Finland if I go there. But that'd be how cool to be up on the edge of a fjord with the view, and then I'm doing a story right there. So yeah, just a little update. I love the updates because there's a lot going on with my channel right now. So all right, you guys, I am going to be hiking out. I got a pretty good hike. The sun's going down. We got plenty of time. We're going to be cooking some salmon next. I mentioned I may do like a full story, but I feel I've kind of been pretty chatty in this episode and had fun. It's fun to just get the little comment, and then my brain just goes, oh yeah, and I kind of spin out some kind of a story. So I think I've done enough stories for today. I hope you're happy with that. We got a number of things coming up. I'm going to be going out, I believe, with the e-bike and putting some gear on that and heading out into the desert or somewhere with the e-bike, possibly Mono Lake. And Mono Lake is really cool. I got a couple stories from Mono Lake with the large tufa towers out in this desert lake at the base of the Sierra. It's about 80 miles south of where I live. I thought that would be so cool to be on location at Mono Lake. And there was actually 2 Bigfoot encounters that I found at Mono Lake, which is a very rare thing, Bigfoot in the desert, but it was at the base of the mighty Sierra, kind of near Mammoth and Twin Lakes, that area, Bridgeport. So anyways, we're looking at doing that, and I got a bunch of stuff I want to do with the kayak and the mountain bike and the backpack, and maybe rent a camper and pull it with the truck, and kind of like this adventure camp story cookathon hangout at the, you know, that's my vision for the channel, not just to sit in my studio and just tell one story for 18 minutes and be done. I'd rather be out here any day of the bloody any day of the week and interacting with this beautiful nature, like they say in Norway, with going out on the hiking in the beautiful nature. We all love it. So, all right, hitting the trail, but we're cooking in just a couple minutes here. All right, you guys, we're back. That was fun. It was a really good hike. Again, this particular hike I went on, I just hit the brakes. I looked up and I saw this mountain just sitting there on the other side of the trees, and I saw a place to park, and I just got my pack, my camera, and I said, let's just go like Jean-Luc Picard. Let's see what's out there, number 1. And so we went up, I hiked up this ridge and then ended up in the little rock basin thing. It was so cool. I want to go back there and go up around, up onto the peaks where these towering lava dome crazy peaks, and maybe we could do a story up there, maybe even camp up there and then have a dinner and do a story, some kind of spooky story in the wild there. So that's what it's all about, being in the wild, into the wild, and doing stories and having fun and doing some campy stuff without getting too serious, right? And so, all right, you guys, we will see you on the next one. And thanks for watching. And as always, keep hiking, but also take it easy.